SEO this week. Hey everyone, welcome. If you can hear me, I appreciate it. You let me know. Looks like my sound is good. Alrighty then. Okay, so SEO this week, episode 165. Welcome everyone. Today we are going to, we've implemented the Meet the Expert segment. Our first guest will be Paul from Mentorprise. His last name is like Anka Schmidt, something like that. I pronounce it horribly, so that's probably the last I'm going to try it. So we're going to do the news, and then listen to the interview with Paul, and then go into a little bit of I want to say training, but it's not necessarily training. I'm just going to talk about my opinions on the topic of co-citations and why I think it was probably explained in the post that we're going to highlight. So I'm going to switch over to the screen. And here you go. Here's the episode. You see episode 165, tools, highlights, and co-citations. First one is kind of a follow-on from last week. I think we talked about it last week, was the Bing had added back the Links Explorer to the Webmaster Tools, which is awesome. I use that tool a lot for looking for competitions backlinks. In particular, you could find their PBNs too if you searched around enough, looked at it, and saw kind of their quote-unquote footprint. So there's a new tool inside of there that does a site scan, kind of like the Google Site Audit if you're using Lighthouse, a little bit along those same lines. Just give you a different perspective on search, especially if you're doing everything for Google. You might as well do the one or two things you might need to do on top of that to attract a little bit of Bing love too. So I would go that route. Next is that Google launches the featured snippets to the webpage content highlight feature. So this is really cool. Before you get a featured snippet, you click on it and then you didn't know where that information came from. I guess this has been implemented on mobile devices. It's been like in testing for a while now, but now it's live everywhere. So you click on that featured snippet result, and then what would happen is now you get the highlight. It'll go right down there and find the content that I look for and then highlight it. This is actually good for us as SEOs, because now we can know that particular term, that snippet is looking for these things, and you can see the format that it's looking for, and be able to help you reverse engineer that and perhaps capture more featured snippets with better content. So I think it's a good benefit for us as SEOs, and on top of that, a benefit for users. That's really cool too. Next is Search Console, the best source of keyword data. I know a lot of my audience probably already knows this, but maybe if you're new or never seen the show before or whatever, this one might be a little bit new to you. Is just how to look at your Search Console, how to connect it to your Google Analytics, and maybe even go a little bit farther and research how to connect it to Data Studio, to marry your Data Studio or your analytics data to your Search Console data in order to determine which keywords are bringing in the search volume for you. And it used to be a lot easier. You used to be able to just plug in analytics and Google would tell you, this is the keyword that it was ranked that came in from Google search. And now you have all the not provideds because of quote unquote privacy, which is ironic that Google would be doing the quote unquote privacy, and then being sued for $5 billion for violating quote unquote privacy. So it's the internet. They're following you. Just kind of either get over it or deal with it. And I think at this point, Google should try to probably just put that back. And this last story, four stories really. It's we're not too bad of a week. This last story is about Co-Citation and Co-Occurrence, and then talking about that. One thing I didn't do is put the link in here, just because I think it gives a little bit of misinformation. And it's not on purpose. I actually did it on accident. So I'll go back and fix the link, and I have to fix the URL too. Kind of got rushed, and I didn't put the proper URL in there. So I'll fix that, and I'll put the link in here. But this story talks mainly about using those two and what they're for. I will make, when you get on there and you're actually reading this and you read this, look at this infographic that's taken right off the post, and compared to the way the author is writing it, they say two completely different things. So, but co-citation and co-occurrence are actually really cool, and you can leverage those with your content building, etc. So this is a good one to know and delve a little bit more into co-citations, co-occurrence. As I said, after the Meet the Expert section, I'll get specifically into this co-citation thing, so we'll readdress this here in a few minutes. I'm going to take a breath here real quick, and we're going to go into talking about the Meet the Expert. So I asked Paul on because we talk about Menterprise a lot, and I get a lot of questions about it. Not necessarily on the show, sometimes on the show, but mostly like PMs in various groups and stuff, because I advocate Menterprise pretty good. So like Tools, SEO Content Machine, they're kind of stepping up their game, and they're adding some features in there that Menterprise has. But I think still hands down is probably the number one content generator. For link building, set the tools to be less, make it more unique or very readable, and you can actually have build it for your outlines, use that for your outlines, give it to your writers for research, kind of along the same lines as if you're using like a phrase IO or something like that. So Menterprise is still pretty good. I think that'll work out. Let's see. Mike is a little late today. Thanks, Lewis. I got the gain up, and the meter's showing that it's all right. So maybe it's the volume or the tone of my voice. I don't know. But I've been on calls all day. I haven't had any complaints. But I appreciate you letting me know that, Lewis. I turned the gain up a little bit more. We'll see what happens. So the next question from Lewis is, have you had any indexing issues lately? And the answer to that is yes. There's always up and before and after updates. Indexing is complete crap. I've talked about this before. Also, Search Console will tell you that a page is indexed, and then you'll actually look in the live SERPs and say that it's not. And then there's some different ways to looking for indexing that are not necessarily working consistently either. What I mean by that is, like, I know this page isn't indexed, thank goodness, because I got the URL wrong. But sometimes you do a site search just like this, and it'll show that it's not indexed. And then if you do a search with just the URL, it might show that it's indexed. Sometimes it won't. And then if you do this, you put quotations around it, it'll say, oftentimes I see it, it'll pop right in there and say that it is in fact indexed, which is crazy weird. And I think my hypothesis on that is that Search Console and the actual live search results are not interconnected. They're not running on the same index. So yeah, Search Console have it and it's in our index. But if you read the wording on there, even when it tells you that a URL is in Google, it says it's eligible to show up. So it's not necessarily guaranteed that just because you put it in Search Console, just because you do the right thing, just because you submit your URLs to Search Console does not necessarily mean that you're actually submitting it to search, that they're going to index it. So I think that the indexing problems are not going to go away anytime soon until they hammer out and figure out Search Console. And maybe they could stand to be a little bit open about that, and that Search Console is not working properly. It's not feeding the data setters right, and maybe there's some third a middleman filter in there that's kind of cleaning some of that stuff out. So I think all of those can ultimately relate to your indexing problems. I get a little bit more perspective on it because we get to see the fake pages that we do for SEO testing, especially on your single variable stuff. And so those tend to be a little bit harder to index as well. So you kind of have to deal with that madness too. So hopefully that answers those two questions. That was a great segue. So what we're going to do now is talk about enterprise. I'm going to let you, we'll go over the interview with Paul, let you understand a little bit more about that tool, some more of the powers. I think if you're not using it or you're not using a like tool, like I said, SEO Content Machine is stepping up this game a little bit, but there's recurring costs that Enterprise takes care of as part of your membership. So, think about that, your use cases, how much you're going to use these things and stuff. But I think that Enterprise will, or at least this episode of Meet the Expert, this first iteration, give you a new expert or a new take on where I'm going with the show. The next few guests are going to be Marco from Semantic Mastery, Brad Mayberry, and Mike Pierce from NFG SEO. Maybe we'll get Ted back on, perhaps Kyle if he's not busy moving. I'd like to get Dory on here, and then we'll just start finding new and exciting guests and just kind of get out from the norm where you're hearing from the same old people over and over again, and we'll learn some new stuff. So with that, let's get on to the talk about Enterprise. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching SEO this week. I hope you enjoyed the news stories. We are going to go ahead and jump right into the Meet the Expert section of the series. As you can see, I actually connect with the experts on Skype and record it in advance just so that we can keep down into the 15-minute time frame. And this week, our first ever guest is going to be Paul Schmidt. I'm sure I just totally slaughtered your last name, but your first name is easy. So how you doing, Paul?
Very well, thanks. You did okay, by the way.
Okay, good. Where are you from?
We're based in Australia. I'm with a company called Menterprise.io, and we help with content creation, as you know.
And we've highlighted Menterprise, and I think I had you on. But yep. And we talked about the tool. I won't say it's like right after you launched it, but it was pretty much in its early days, right? The last time we talked about it. Yeah. And I thought it would be good to get you on as the inaugural because a lot of people still ask me about that episode and use cases and all that stuff. And you have some whole new stuff for us to share, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So go ahead and share your screen and let's get rocking with that. There we go. Got the screen. Let me make it bigger just so it records a little bit better so everyone gets the full Enterprise experience. There you go. Okay, you're all set.
Cool. So that I'm assuming that nobody really knows what we're doing, I'll start at the very, very beginning, which is up here at the right-hand side here, which is what your profile would be. You can actually set your preferences. I personally like the idea of knowing how many words I've got per month left. Also up here, you'll be able to do, switch between light and dark mode. Some people preferred light. I actually prefer dark mode. And you can also manage your subscription there. Past generations, this is where, once you've done a run, like I've just done one here, what's the best termite treatments that rendered 22 pages, I can actually go back in here and it will not take any of my word count. Over here are the engines. I've actually got 4 engines. I've turned 2 of them off to show you. Here's my word count. I can actually hover over it. I've only done 3.8 million words this month. Help and support's always there, and the news is always there. Now, I just did this quick run. Okay, I'm into the termite treatments, the pest control industry. It's pretty big. So I've got text over here. Okay, so we went to the first 10 to 20 SERP results, the first 2 pages, and each one of these pages I've got, those 22, already have spin text already embedded in it. But that's not so bad. But to be honest, text isn't a huge indicator for Google anymore. So what we've done with, say, backlinking strategies, we've put it on regular. Those like yourself and myself with, say, money sites, we'll put it to very readable, so it's got less spin text. This one here is very important, the generation, the deep 20. I set mine at 20 all the time, so it goes through the first 20 SERP results and grabs all that data so I can use all that data. Here you can choose your word count. A lot of guys do GMBs, product descriptions use about 400, 600. For my purposes, I use 800. And for those doing like blog posts, etc., money pages, use 1,000 to 2,000. Also over here, we've got the search result or search areas. Okay, what I tend to do, Clint, is I will start, even though I'm doing work here in Australia, I'll start with .com in America, then I'll go to Canada, then I'll go to Ireland, England, then all the way to New Zealand, then to South Africa at times, and then back to Australia. Because if it's ranking in those areas, that data will probably rank here in Australia. Now, my biggest thing I want to show you guys is the fastest way to get information. Now, most of our guys, we're in about 100 countries, by the way. Most of our guys say in Israel, they'll change this to .il. This Israel, they'll put in their Hebrew character sets up here. Click that, generate new, and within about 30 to 40 seconds, it's actually gone out to the SERPs, grabbed all of that data from the Israeli SERP engine, put all that into pages of, say, around 800, because that's what I was looking for, and it's all in Hebrew. All right. But what I'm using it for is I'll do a certain search right now. I'll show you how fast this is. So let's just say we're going to do what's the best CBD oil dosage for children. Okay. There you go. And we're going to change this to CA, because as most of the people know about Canada, it's pretty much of a world leader. With this, you just type in a couple of letters, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to get my headers, and I'm going to put this to auto. All right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to get the top titles, the ranking titles for the first 20 pages in here and use them as our H tags.
Oh, that's new. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. This is going to take like minutes, right? We're going to put this as auto as well. So we're going to grab the images over here. We're also going to go up here and make sure that we're getting HTTPS, and I'm going to import the alt text as well. Say OK, and then I'm going to go to my videos and going to say the same thing. I'm going to do import alt text on my videos, and I'm going to set this to auto. All right, and the placement is pretty easy. Watch this. Okay, we've got all that set up. We're going to Canada. We're going to turn that off. No spin text, but watch. So what we're doing now, Clint, this has been around for a couple of months now, but man, oh man, my time has gone for like about 10 minutes doing this down to less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's about what I was spending, because I use it mainly for SEO autopilot content generation. So yeah, I was spending about 10 minutes setting it all up.
Look at this. Within, 20 seconds, we've already got the H tags. H1 to H4 already spun. We've got the table of contents already spun. We've got the images with alt text already spun, and the videos already spun. Okay, so now we're going to grab that data from the first, say, 20 SERP results. And how long do you think it would take me normally to get like 10 pages, maybe 10 hours of hard work, maybe 2 days of hard work? Now I'm going to do it all in less than 2 minutes. And these pages have it all done, Clint, everything. I can just copy the HTML and put it into a blog post, or I can just hit the copy spin text, put it into a mass page builder, and bang, I'm done.
While we're still waiting on that, since we got that time to fill, it says SERP results from SERP 20. To be clear, it's going out and finding the top 20 websites and pulling all that information, correct?
Yes, related to the search term. Now, related to the search term, I will give people a bit of an understanding here. The more intent-based the search, the better. Okay, there you go, Clint. 20 pages in 96 seconds.
On that topic of the intent base, what he means is don't go in there and go CBD oil dosage. You're not going to get good stuff. Put questions in there, how to's, what is, that kind of stuff, and you come back with a lot better content.
Because Google's all about intent. All right. And you will get back data if you just have it like CBD oil, but it's like, it's like regarding, termites. If I put in termites, I'm going to get entomology and how they breed and blah, blah, blah. But if I had termites here, I'm going to put in how do I get rid of termites fast? That sort of thing. Now, these pages that took less than 2 minutes, have a look at this. This is already generated the whole thing. It's got the H1, the table of contents. Okay, there's an image up there. I can reapply this module here, let the system do its thing. So make changes within a couple of seconds. There you go. Now we've got a video. Totally different H1, totally different table of contents, got the video there. Now all this text is completely legible because we've got it and mushed it together from the ranking sites. The images they're all got old text in behind here. We're going down to H2s, H3s, all that sort of stuff. So if I wanted to, I could have a quick look at that particular page as it stands right now with no formatting, because obviously if you're putting it onto a blog, you'll probably have some sort of thing. This, by the way, is a live link. Click, and it takes you down to the bottom page. That's a really good page that only took, a couple of seconds to produce. So now I could just copy that out as HTML, or if I'm doing mass pages or backlinking, I just hit copy syntax and bang. Have a look at this, Clint. Look at this syntax, man. That's that way and this way. Those are all the H1s to 4, the table of contents, all spun with the images, everything done.
So it's also spinning from paragraph to sentence to word level, right?
Well, with this particular instance, I've just done a direct copy of what's ranking. There's no textual spin on this particular thing. The reason why we have so many syntax variables, like into the billions, is because each one of these has like hundreds of potentials. This has hundreds of potentials, and these hashtags and videos have now lots.
What do you think the uniqueness percentage of that would be?
Well, this page has never been done before.
Right, but when you do, like you use like a plagiarism checker in Grammarly or Copyscape, or another tool that I like to use is SEO Editor Pro. Like SEO Editor Pro, it kind of does what you do, but not anywhere near the scale. Actually, I can combine Menterprise and get the spin and then use some of the SEO Editor stuff on top of it. But basically what it'll do is the information that I pull in, it keeps record of it, and then it produces that new page and then says this page is X percentage unique when compared to the rest of the stuff that's pulled. So that's I guess that's what I was asking with you, is how unique is that when this spits it out?
All right. Now, if you're looking at just textual components, this particular way that we just did it now, like the guys in Israel and in Holland and all around the world, they just want to grab what would normally take them 2 or 3 or 4 hours to do it by hand, right? If we turn this off and then we just run this again, it'll take about 3 minutes doing all this again and implementing it. All that textual component will have its syntax. So the syntax version of the text would be pretty good, okay? Anywhere between, say, 50 and 90%. With the structured content that we're creating, every single page is different to every single page. So from that point of view, it's 100% different.
Because it's mixing from the other pieces of content, except the other it's getting sentences, right? Down from the web pages, creating paragraphs, correct? Okay? So I would assume that that's at least by default spitting out at least 60% unique, right? Okay.
And when you add the uniqueness of the H1s, the table of contents, images, the old text and videos, that page has never existed before.
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to do something else with this. Here, I've got a map. Okay, this is under the raw. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to implement that map in this page. And at this point in time, it'll be placed at the bottom. If I'm doing stuff with, say, as pages or backlinking, I'd set it as random.
As random. So what I do here when I use this feature is see where it says 480 and iframe, that little break in between there. I actually put the NAP, the name, address, and phone number. I drop it right in there. And then there's other people that do the whole schema and stuff, but I write some crazy ass schema, and so I don't usually drop that.
In add content, we actually have add a NAP. So if I was the NAP, I can add the NAP and I could place it anywhere in the page. We can do all that too. Now, yeah, absolutely. And we've got guys who do GMBs, and there's call to actions in here as well. You can make your own. This is the only platform that you can make your own repetitive tasks in this format, which is pretty cool. Replaces where you want to replace bits and pieces. Keywords is pretty cool. That's where you just implement more keywords or locations within your product. Redirect, this is a 301 redirect, so that if you're doing anything to do with affiliate marketing, for instance, and you've got, say, 100,000 pages made and, say, 10% of them are actually indexed. By the way, Google loves indexed pages, right? They know that, but they love structured content. They'll put that as ahead of any boring text page, whether it's 1,000 words or 400 words. If you have structured content, we've found people outranking the original pages. Because, by the way, if you don't know this already, you can put in a competitor's URL in here. You can also use Google's modifiers like site colon, in title, in URL. You can do all that in here.
What would be the use case putting the competitor's URL?
Like it's this guy who's with a blog, for instance, and he's in your niche. You can just put it in here, allow those modules to do their thing. It brings back a number of pages over here. It'll be different to the original. And you just copy it out into your own blog.
A number of pages based off of what was on that website, or is it smart? All right, everyone. Thank you for watching SEO. There we go. How's that? Holy crap. I said all those great and wonderful things. I gave a whole bunch of gems out there, but I'm not going to say them again. You guys missed out on the audio. Okay, so what I was saying is, and I'll repeat this just because I don't know how long I was muted. What Paul and I, we talked for probably an hour and a half, and that was, I want to keep the Meet the Expert segments down to like a 15-minute-ish thing. So that's why I stopped that. What we further went on to talk about was a new feature that's coming to the Enterprise name, and that is a mass website builder. But it goes beyond that. So basically, what you do is you create your content with Enterprise. You redirect your domains to them. So you just set your name servers to their servers, and then you can build out these websites based off of what you want to do in your own linking plan and your own internal linking models. So for example, let's say you have your own domain, your money site, your money site, and then you want to set up your tiers. So there's your tier 1. These are all your domains. So you need 1, 2, 3, 4 domains. And then each one of these gets 3. And if you watch the NFG guys in their free webinar that they did the other day, they talked about this 333 concept. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 domains. And then each of those gets 3 more. So I'm just going to write 3 to make it easy. 3, 12. There's 27. So 3, 9, 27. Right? And you buy all of those domains. And the cool thing is the tool will you tell it where you want to create the thing, and it'll get the content from the content you give it from Enterprise, and build out all of these pages, build out all of your interlinking, or build out the linking so that you create a nice tiered network. And let's say for whatever reason you wanted to kill this and put a new one in, the tool will auto fix these and fix the linking for you across your whole networks. And the same if you did it to here, it would fix it. If you did it here, it would fix it. And it does it all by itself. And he said a 1 million page website would probably roughly cost about like $100 a month for a 1 million page website. But they're doing all the hosting, they're doing all the content generation, they're handling all the interlinking, they're guaranteeing 100% uptime, all that stuff. So it's really cool. So if that's something that sounds like it would be really interesting, you want to get away with or add to like a SEO autopilot or whatever other link building types you're building right now, that looks like it would be a real good time to jump in on Enterprise for that bad boy. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing that and what they can do with it. That sounds pretty exciting. I did open this. Sign language clouds. Love you guys. Okay, I wanted to talk about this. Remember, I started off the show. I said we wanted to talk about co-citation and co-occurrence and what it is and how to explain it. And I cited this article inside of the roll-up. There is a problem with the article, and it's the way that the author explained it. So co-citation means that this website is mentioned by 2 different sources, but not necessarily linked. And that is not exact. That's not what co-citation is. So in even his own used infographic here, my guess is probably swept from somewhere, doesn't, this explains it the right way versus his content explains it the wrong way. So I think if everyone is, if an author is confused by that and he's supposedly putting himself out to be an expert, which I'm not arguing, go ahead and knock yourself out. If you can do this stuff, you can get access. But then this could confuse people. So I wanted to address it in a little bit more clear way, so that you can leverage co-citation, because there's some cool stuff you can do with link building. So we're gonna go back over here. Let me get my drawing pen so I was writing with a mouse before. I'm not think you guys could tell. But what a co-citation is let's say there's a website, not yours, it's a website. And then we'll use 3 for example here. And you can actually test this out by just building 5 of these. And what you're going to do is you're going to write your content about whatever, and we're just going to say, blue pens. The static on my pad is screwing me up. And blue pens. And then you're going to go out and find another website, preferably an authority website that has the same type of article about blue pens. Okay. So now you have 2 articles about blue pens. They're both useful articles, etc. And then you can do a guest post, S3, whatever you want to create a secondary a page. Is not, you don't even have to do linking. You can test this out without linking to it. And what you want to do is, you write your article, blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to mention your website. So we'll just say website A, blah, 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 blah. And then your site, website B, blah, 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 blah. So now that is a co-citation. These 2 are cited together. Inherently, it becomes a co-citation. When that happens more and more, blah, 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 site A, blah, 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 site B, blah, 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 B, blah, 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 A, blah, 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 blah. And the algorithm begins to see that. And so now it kind of figures, oh, site A and site B are always linked together, not necessarily linking to your money page, but this money page has to be of value, because these articles, these 5, 10, 15 articles that are out there on the web on these high trusted sites are all mentioning this page, referring to this site about being that subject matter expert. Typically, if you're going to do this, I would actually put the link in there too, but just to get the link juice, because you're link building, right? So link build at the same time, get the link juice going to it, build that co-citation, piggyback off the authority of that site B that is higher than yours. And that's, you don't want to be finding a weaker one. You want to find one that's higher, so it'll bring your web page up, and that will increase your value. So that is what co-citation is. And that's how you employ it in your link building. You can do this pretty much everywhere. You can use it in tools. You can do it in S3. You can do it in your guest posts. Making sure you're citing those 2 sites. If you happen to own both of those sites, it's even better, because you're double downing on your link building. You're not buying more. Or if you have a client that happens to be in the same market as one of your PPL sites or whatever. So now you got 2 websites linking, getting links from everybody that you're going out and building those co-citations to. And that's how you can use it. The theory is sound. The patent is pretty clear how that works. But I don't know if anyone has actually tested it and said, hey, this is it. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at, how do we accomplish this test? What platforms can we use to do it? And then if we're doing it in a quote unquote single variable thing with the whole fake keyword testing, the problem becomes, there is no authority site on a fake keyword. So we'll probably have to find a really, really stupid weak keyword that we can test it out on, and leave these links out. And if we can get ranking increases without the links, just using co-citation, that's really valuable for us to learn, because it means that they're passing, the concept is working, it's passing juice. And then what we do is on top of that, test with the links and see what happens regards to effective link building over the long term. So if you have any questions on co-citation, now would be a good time to ask. I'm going to erase this. And the other one that article talked about is co-occurrence. So co-occurrence is really, it's pretty simple concept. So you write a sentence, so SEO is cool. And so is Stephen Buchanan. And, SEO is cool. SEO is cool is the phrase. And that is co-citated with Stephen Buchanan. So Stephen Buchanan is an SEO. Stephen Buchanan is cool. You can bring those kind of things up, and that's essentially what co-citation is. Co-occurrence is, and that will, this is kind of brings in the relevancy. Oftentimes, you can actually make these links. So you can do all your brand stuff, and then you just put the keywords around it to get that co-occurrence. I've never seen a test that does that and can manage that. And in so much to say, is it really this link that is passing the relevancy for the term, or is it the co-occurrence of the term, the keyword SEO is cool with Stephen Buchanan? Is that what's doing it? I guess the one way to do it would be like fake keyword. Jeez. And Scott Rogers. And then if that anchor text is always Scott Rogers, theoretically a link and the anchor text would help rank it for Scott Rogers, right? And then if it moves up the fake keyword at the same time, maybe you can say that co-occurrence is doing it. So I think it's something that is definitely worth looking at. I won't discount this because you see this co-occurrence inside of the entity, Google NLP entity, and how it's using that in semantic related content inside of that tool, and what that spits out for those is, and you look at the graphs and how that's all laid out, it's co-occurrence, right? So I would check that out. It's a real powerful method, and just kind of squeeze you a little bit more on it. Let's see. Hayden said, this is the type of strategy I use to build brands for reputation management, name and association. See, it's perfect. So he's kind of got the real world experience. I want to test it for, say, so we can say, hey, this is for fact. And you guys can go out there and run wild with it. I would run wild with it right now anyway, because I know that co-citation process works, and I know that this works for relevancy, and I know Google is looking at this for relevancy, but how much power is it passing for? If I'm trying to rank Stephen Buchanan's name for SEO is cool, is this screwing that up? You know what I mean? So if this is my priority, then I want to make sure that I'm ranking for that and not Stephen Buchanan. So that's where that co-citation, co-occurrence stuff kicks in. Hopefully I explained it simple enough, because I know a lot of people like to talk smarter than they really are. So I think that concept is really cool. I think it's not going away anytime soon, so you guys should embrace it, leverage it, and figure out how to use it in all your marketing campaigns and your SEO stuff. So are there any other questions? I'm looking at here. Let's see. When building links, internal links or external links, to use title tag to pack the keywords and descriptions. So I don't, know, you guys probably know, I think I mentioned this before, but I'm a student of Greg Morrison from OMG, right? So I do my own testing and I learn from a lot of people and stuff, but really he kind of breaks down stuff like stupid simple. So when I say a student, I listen to his stuff like every once in a while when I read it, and his reverse sink or swim thing is pretty much what you're talking about. Is building internal links or external links to use a title tag to pack in keywords and meta descriptions. And the answer is sorta. So let me share this again. I don't want to be teaching someone else's stuff verbatim, but this is what I do. So let's say it's SEO Phoenix because we're building what ranks course on that right now. So SEO Phoenix. Let me see if I can fix this. Things get pissing me off. Apologize. All right, so SEO Phoenix, and that's going to be in my title, right? It's going to be in my URL. The term is going to be in my description, and then it's going to be in my head tag or H1 or head tags. Typically when I do it, it's going to be in my H1 and my H4. So I'm going to have it in both those places, the exact match. And then I'm going to have it in my content. So those are the 5 places. And I've talked about this. I know Greg Morris talked about it. I don't know if anyone else talked about it, but this is pretty much the 5 main pages. We confirmed that with some HTML tag testing where we did like 78 tests. Like I've duplicated one that Ted did, 78 places, and the top 5 are these right here. The rest of them, it doesn't matter really. It's kind of like, you know what? Great. So when I build my links, I want to have, let's say I'll use Medium for an example. So we're using Medium, and then you get the sub, the next part of the string. I'll have SEO Phoenix in there. Phoenix in there, and it'll be in the title. It'll be in the URL, obviously. The description, you can kind of play with that a little bit. H1s and tags, when I format it just like this. And then obviously I'll put it in the content. And that's the same with my internal pages, but I won't have SEO Phoenix. Maybe I'll have, how things to do in Phoenix, or I'll just do find Phoenix for right now for the example. So the primary word is Phoenix because I want to rank in Phoenix for SEO. And in here, Phoenix will be in the title, the URL, description, H1 through 4, H1 and H4s in the content, right? So I'll have it in there and the link here will almost always, when I do it, will almost always be exact match. Because I'm only building like 5 or 10 of these, depending on, you know what I mean? I'm not going like full retard and every page on my site that mentions Phoenix links over to that, or SEO Phoenix. So 5 or 10 is not going to hurt you in your website. And then I'll sprinkle in the alternate text, the inverse and all that other stuff inside of my third-party links. So this one will be linking to it with Phoenix Info or Phoenix Marketing or something like that. You know what I mean? That way I get the benefit of the exact match and I get the benefit of the related, so that now I can rank in Phoenix, because I've not only told Google that it's about SEO and it's about SEO Phoenix, but it's also related to Phoenix. And I make sure that that's really clear. So hopefully that answers that question. I don't see any other questions that came up. So this has been an hour. I appreciate you guys going through. Again, I'm looking for some new guests. I don't want to talk to the same old people. Like everybody, you get the SEO Signals Lab, PBN. the proper PBN group, the MacDiddy groups, LCT, it's all the same people. So I'm looking for new people to talk to. So I got Brad Mayberry, Mike Pierce, Marco Benavides from Semantic Mastery lined up. And then I'm just going to start going out and doing some outreach and finding new people for us to listen to, get new perspectives, and get us out of the same old audience swapping crap that's been going on in a lot of the popular Facebook groups. So look out for that. If you have any ideas, you have someone new you want me to, you think will be perfect for the show, or if you think you would be perfect for the show, reach out to me, hit me in the comments. If you have me on Slack or Skype or in Facebook, hit me up in there. If you're friends with me on Facebook and we're no longer friends anymore, it's because you didn't engage with my crap and my plugin deleted you. Don't feel bad. My plugin deleted my son as well. So it's kind of just the way it goes. And I appreciate all of you watching SEO this week. This has been episode 165, and I'll see you all next week.